It says in the good book, unless you become like one of these. That's not just talking about faith. That's talking about living. There is so much documentation about how, when's the last time you had fun? When's the last time you acted like a kid? Are you so so stressed out that you don't know how to play? When's the last time you played croquet? When's the last time you did something stupid and silly? I always try to find something stupid and silly to do. When we had all the rain about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I came home. I had wingtips on and a suit, and there was water running down. You remember when you were a kid and water was running down the street? What did you do? Push, 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 push. I got a suit on. I got wingtips on. And I went out there and I'm going push, 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 push. The guy across the street's looking out the window thinking, good Lord, get him out of here, get him out of here. My wife and I mean, do this. Take out a $20 bill. Everybody take out a $20 bill. Pass it up here, okay? Take out a $20 bill sometime this week. Imagine the first $20 bill you ever got. I remember I got confirmation. Grandma gave it to me. I thought I was the richest boy in town. I carried that thing around and I just loved it. Take out a $20 bill, write your name on it, carry it around for about 2 or 3 days, and then go to a Toys R Us place or something like that, and go and get out of the car and stand in front of the door and say this is for me to spend in there. And don't go in and buy something for your kids or your nieces or your nephews or grandchildren. Go in and buy a toy for you, all right? I remember the first time I did it. Remember how you make bubbles? You used to take that little thing and stick it in there and blow bubbles and it would run all over your fingers. I remember the first time I did that, I walked into a Toys R Us and they had these guns. You poured the stuff in there, it had a battery, you pulled the trigger, and it just blew bubbles out like a machine gun. I bought one for myself and I bought one for my wife. We took them out in the hot tub naked that next night. Hey, let me tell you, Lawrence Welk never put as much romance in his bubble machine. I know it sounds silly, I know it sounds stupid, but people, it works. It works, all right? Listen, if I can get this to work. Oops, go back there. Go back one. You need to have fun. You need to do some things that are ridiculous. The child restores the critical ingredients of passion and play within you. The ingredients that make all the difference in dealing with stress, all right? Freud said, what a distressing contrast there is between the radiant intelligence and passion of the child and the feeble mentality of the average adult. Let me tell you something. When kids see a problem, they don't back off. They don't say, oh, life sucks or whatever, it's not going to work. They dance with it. They don't turn down challenges. I mean, they're like little human torpedoes and tornadoes. How many people remember the Girl Scout, Brownie Scout group? The Cookie Brigade, I tell you, the greatest salespeople in the world didn't match up with them. 3 months after that campaign was over, when our daughter was young, we had a cupboards full of kookaburras, Scott Tees, Hoedowns, Mints, and Savannahs. They didn't take no for an answer. They got on you like ugly on an ape. I mean, they danced. We need to dance too. All right. Here's some studies that were done. All right. Would you like to be 30% more creative than you are today? Okay? All right. Would you like to increase your productivity by at least 25%? Would you like to lower your stress levels and add another 5 to 10 years to your life? People, this is not just something I'm throwing up. These are documented studies that have done on people who continued to play, who continued to embrace the child within them, all right? Would you like to be part of a group that isn't afraid of taking on challenges and having fun doing so? All right? Would you like to trust more, be more flexible, more spontaneous? All right? Would you like to go home at the end of the day and relax instead of working on tomorrow's battle? Would you like to renew your sense of optimism? These are all things that are accomplished when people learn that they weren't meant to just put their nose to the grindstone all day long, but they were supposed to enjoy life too. They were supposed to take time. They were supposed to play. How many people have ever played croquet? We have 68 different ways to play croquet at our house. 68. We will make our own clubs now. I got a friend, left brain guy, he's a realtor. He's just as left brain as you can get. Well, Labor Day we have a tournament. I have a trophy I made. I give a $100 prize and we have fun. He came out and I said, now here's what you do today, okay? Here's the way. You put your ball here, you knock it through the first hoops, and And then I said, you got a chance, 2 shots to knock it over, up that ramp, and knock the ball into the eave spout attached to the side of the house. If it goes into the eave spout and rolls back out, you get 2 extra hits, and they got to kill you twice when it comes to poison. He said, what? I said, Larry, pay attention. Just knock it out there. You got 2 shots. I groove the board. It goes up there, and it gets in there. It comes out, and you get 2 more shots, and they got to kill you twice. He said, that's not the way you play croquet, Okerlund. He said, you come out, and you go to the right, back to the left, right, right. He says, where's the other stake? I said, we're not using that. He said, what do you mean you're not using that? He said, let me see the rule book. I said, Larry, does everything have to be in the rule book for you? Does everything have to be in the rule book for you? Or can you exercise that imagination that God gave you as a child and dance, okay? 3, passion conquers stress. There are 2 critical components to passion. All right? One is faith, believing that you have both the will and the way to accomplish your dreams, okay? The second one is optimism, the strong and enduring expectation that everything will work out okay. How much do you work on keeping the passion alive inside you, okay? That's the big question today. Dr. Segelman, Penn University, did a study. He put together, you can go online and he can rate you. You can answer a questionnaire and he can tell you just what's your level of passion. And when it comes to selling, like many of you do, you realize that selling today, because, there's 4 reasons why people do business with people: affordability, accountability, availability, and what was number 4 for years is now number 1, affability. How well we like doing business with the people we're doing business with. Because there are a lot of farmers out there in a sea of darkness, hoping and praying to God they'll see a lighthouse of someone who can come into their lives and see them through the troubled waters. And that's what affability is. And that's what passion is all about. Segelman came up with this study. He went to MetLife and did an experiment. He asked the president of MetLife, would you take 300 clients that you were thinking about hiring for insurance? And if you ever taken an insurance exam, you know how difficult that is. You pick the top 30 that you want to hire. I want the list of all the losers. And I'm going to go and give them a test on passion, and I'm going to pick 30 of those. And I want you to hire them, and for 3 years, you match your losers against your winners, the creme de la creme against mine. MetLife agreed to do so. Guess what happened? In the first year, the losers outsold the best of the best by 29%. The second year, the ones that had the passion that they wouldn't hire, they didn't think would work out, outsold the best of the best by 59%. At the end of 3 years, 75% of the losers were $1 Million Round Table, MDRTs. And over half of the best had resigned and gone to other things. Passion. Passion makes all the difference in the world. Number 4, when the garbage truck of life comes, make compost. All right? The garbage, I don't care. You are really good looking, but I don't care how good looking you are. The garbage truck is coming. And it's going to dump its load in your life. And it may be in drought, it may be in rain, it just may be your kids or whatever it is. And that's when you make the big decision whether or not you're going to live with it or you're going to do what I do. And I love to make compost out of garbage. I love to make compost out of garbage. And sometimes it sneaks up on you. I was out, and I'll never forget, I was out in Nebraska doing a credit union conference one time, and after dinner, I did a speech, and after dinner they had 2 choices. You could get some play money and gamble. They had a gambling casino kind of set up for them, and I don't do that. I don't like that. I'm not going to editorialize on it, but they also had a country western band. They went in the lounge, and I love music, and I love country. I'm sitting there, and I'm Texas two-stepping beneath the table, and I'm jitterbugging on top of it. I'm really getting a kick out of it, and one of these nice young ladies all of a sudden said, David, would you like to dance? I said, I'd love to dance. I'd love to dance. I jumped up and I looked out on the dance floor and there was not one male out there. Kearney, Nebraska was a college town. They had 2 lines with these girls. And you're dancing down the road and you're going down there and you come around and you dance with somebody else. Well, this body was in its prime in about 1967. Back then, if you remember back then, typical song lasted for 2.5 minutes. And you could sit down. Wake up a little Susie's, 2 minutes and 17 seconds. But today there's some of these bands that can take a little snippet of a tune and they can stretch it out for 18 minutes. I'm out there on the dance floor. I was 62 years of age at that time. I was sweating like a stuck pig at 7 minutes, and I know pigs don't sweat. I'm going into cardiac arrest at about 11 minutes. But I finished 18 minutes later. I'm walking back to my table. And I got run over by a garbage truck. The bumper of which was a finger that tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around. There's this delightful young girl who looked at me and with all the sincerity in the world said, "Gee, mister, you are really good for your age." She said, "I wish my daddy could dance as good as you." Pow! I could have. But what do you do? Go back to your table and slug down another PBR and think life sucks and it isn't fair? I laughed. I put it aside. Sort of. But I did get up next morning and I said, "Good morning, Lord." I didn't get up and say, "Good Lord morning." I put it away and I processed the garbage and I got on the plane and went down to Texas and had the greatest moment of speaking I've ever had in my life. Never, nothing will ever touch that. Like this banquet will never ever touch another banquet. I'm down talking to the Texas Home Economic Teachers Association, 430 female home economic teachers, about 5 guys, my kind of audience. Everything was perfect that night. They served French onion soup for over 400 people, and it was so hot you had to wait for it to cool down. Never seen that at a banquet. Sound system was perfect. You had a great sound team over here. Lights, perfect. Everything was well. I did a humorous banquet speech that night. Next morning, I'm doing a 3-hour session on managing change and chaos. I get up, I'm on the 14th floor, Dallas Hyatt Airport Hotel. I get on there, I get down about the 12th floor, door opens, and 2 young teachers come on board. They come on board, and we're visiting. We got down to about the 5th floor. Stops, door opens, and 2 young yuppie salesmen, these sales stallions from IBM, came on board. You know, these are the kind of young guys that sort of look you over like your last week's news. And, you know, they got the $600 suits and the Gucci shoes and, you know, and the Swiss watches. And they sort of looked me over and they didn't say anything. That didn't bother me much. And then I got the greatest gift. And if I hadn't been in the right mood, I would have missed it. Came down the lobby, and the 2 women are leaving. The 3 young guys are going down to the convention center, conference center, 1 floor down. The 2 women are leaving, and one of them turned and gave me the greatest gift I've ever given. She looked at me and she said, "David, I just hope you realize how good you were last night." Honest to God, true story. She said, "That was one of the best evenings I've ever spent in my entire life." And at that moment, the other teacher turned around and she said, "And that goes ditto for me." And then, like Ozzie Smith, she knocked it out of the park when she said, "I just can't wait to get home and try out some of those techniques on my husband." And 3 jaws hit the floor. Here they're looking at this old fart, you know, he's sitting there, and, you know, they wonder, how the heck did he do? They don't say a word. They don't say a word. We go down to the ground floor. That means the basement floor. I start to leave, and I know I shouldn't have done it, but it was that old Baptist in me. I had to. I just turned and looked at him. I said, "Guys, what can I say?" What can I say? They just looked at me. And all of a sudden, the elevator door shut and took them upstairs. And I said, "Yes! Life is good." And life is good.